T227 Change Strategy and Projects at Work. In our last meeting, we discussed about the course and what we will take inside the course. What are the different chapters we have, and the course, what is the course about, the course assessment. It's overall an introduction to the course and the course assessment we discussed in our last session. And we agreed like today, inshallah, we will start with our first chapter, the nature of change. So in this chapter, we will be discussing about the change and the reasons for the change, how people react to the change, different types of change, and in an organization, different uh, uh, parts of the organization as zones in an organization. So to start with an introduction to the change, changes are obvious. Like we see the changes for a number of reasons around us. We see the changes in the technology. We see the changes people how people react to different things at different time. So change happens for a number of reasons. Okay. Uh, but the main thing is that how we get benefit from this change, how we make this change as more beneficial and not harmful, and how we want to accept this change or we want to discard this change. Okay, so change brings the opportunities, and at the same time, change can be a challenging and bring some uncertainty and insecurity in understanding or among the people. Fine. So it is not that change is always a positive thing for a particular person or an organization. At the same time, it is also a challenging and brings some uncertainty and insecurity among the employees or among the people and among the organization or inside the organization. So we must understand the change, the drivers of the change, why the change is happening, so that we can deal with the change and get the most of this change. So dealing with the change is again an important work and life skill. Right? So dealing with change is again an important skill in our life as well as at our workplace. So for organization to survive in this environment, in this dynamic environment, we see everywhere the changes is going on. The organization must get most of their people in terms of the energy, initiatives, and intellectual capital. Every employee should be encouraged to see themselves as an agent of change. So every part or everyone inside an organization can become an agent of change and must have knowledge, tools, and techniques and the confidence to suggest a way of improving personal and organizational performance. So in today's world, it is not only just I'm working in my specialization. No, in today's world, an employee should have the knowledge of bringing in the changes, knowledge, tools, and techniques, and confidence in suggesting the and improving the organizations. So if you are an employee, you must have these skills. This is very important. Okay, so it is this motivation and creativity that leads to innovation. So discussing the changes and bringing up new ideas brings an innovation. Without a change, there cannot be any innovation. And not all the changes will be an innovation. Sometimes we do a change for some small reasons. Sometimes we do a fundamental change that brings something new, right? So that can be think of or that will make you to think as to innovate something new. So innovation comes with changes. Innovation comes with changes, and without change, we cannot think of innovations or developing new things. So this course will help you to get into deep insight and to get some knowledge and skills about how you can make a change, on how you can you can transform a change from a change to an to an to a project, or to an idea of change, or a change idea into a reality inside any organizations. Okay, changes can vary significantly in its nature, intensity, and scale. So we have a different types of changes, and with its having different scale, right? We can talk about a small change, we can talk about a big change inside any organization. A small changes, for example, we want to bring in change in our office room, in our organization. A small change is about talking about no, changing an office room or renovating an office room. A big changes is something about renovating the whole organization, renovating the whole the building of an organization, for example, right? So changes can be of different type. Fine. So we can refer to the term program to refer to a comprehensive or more or less structured response to a change situation. And now when we talk about the change and we say that changes can be of different type or different size, right? So we must address the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats that maybe comes with the change identified by the organization. Okay, in terms of the internal context as well as the external context. So analyzing and managing change effectively is about establishing the aspiration of the organization and the strategy needed to achieve those aspirations. Right. So it is about, if you are analyzing and managing changes, you are just establishing that aspiration inside an organization, that everybody inside an organization will be helpful with the change. And at the same time, everybody will contribute in a change. Fine. So people inside an organization are of different mindset or of different kind of people. So we have, if you are bringing a change, you may face different things, right? For the to bring in the change. But people are there to also contribute to the change by their skills, what they have, by their motivations, and by their the skills what they have. Okay. So project working has an increased focus on the technical and procedural aspect involved in introducing practical changes. We can implement the practical changes through the project working. We can implement the practical changes as what? Through the practical, or through the project. Fine. So in this world, we see that globalization is driving change at an ever greater speed. So we all know to learn how to live with the change and how to meet the challenges the change brings with it, right? So in this globalization world, nowadays we see that we are not only limited to a particular area or a particular place. Today we are talking about globalization. Globalization is something that you are a part of the world. So in this globalization, we must understand that we are a part of the world, and we must see that how we can live with the changes that brings the world, and how we can meet those changes, and how we can cooperate with the changes. As I said before, change and innovation are closely linked. Change and innovation are closely linked, and without a change, we cannot think of innovation, right? And innovation is crucial in creating a competitive advantage. Fine. So we must think of a change, if you are willing to bring innovation, or you want to do some innovation, we must think of a change. Type. Not all change initiatives will have an innovative outcome, but it is difficult to innovate if an organization is against a change. If the organization is against a change. Okay, change can evoke strong defensive reaction. To secure something familiar is a common response. So if you are to bring a change, you may have a defensive reactions inside an organization just to secure they secure themselves. Okay, fine. So people may deny the change. People may say that uh, they don't want to the change, or they have some reasons that they may not happy with the change, right? So here uh, the question is, where does the safety lie? In denying the change or accepting the change? Fine. So surely not by denying that world is changing, but rather by facing up the change and making the best of the challenge and opportunities that it creates. It is not that you deny the change and you just deny the changes. Okay, so change affect us all periodically in our and working lives. We may find changes, the new challenges it brings exciting, or we may suffer diminished confidence in our ability to cope with new ideas, technologies, processes, and the new way of doing things. Right. So it may be that a change is more exciting for us, or sometimes for some people it is not exciting. Fine. We may feel nervous, reluctant to abandon the ways we have always done the things, especially when the things are worked well. When the things are going well, we may feel that why the changes. Okay. So if we are doing well in an organization, we think that why we need a change. But sometimes we feel that we are excited to bring a change when we accept or we understand the value of change. Fine. When we understand the value of change, we understand that it is very important, and we understand that yes, we will get benefit from it. Okay. Just 1 minute, please. So sometimes change may have been anticipated. Sometimes change may have been anticipated, but the other times it comes out of the blue. That is, sometimes we understand or we know that there will be a change and the changes will occur. But sometimes we see that the changes comes all of a sudden and we did not expect that these changes will come and we have to react to it. Okay. So we must be ready for both type of changes. We must be ready for both type of changes, whether it is an anticipated change or it is coming off sudden or it is something like out of the blue. Fine. So changes are, when it comes, the main thing is that how we deal with the change. So we'll see the coping cycle here. This cycle identifies 5 phases that are characteristics of the way the people react to the change. How people react to the change, or how do you feel about the change, is given in this coping cycle. So these are given in 5 different phases, how people react to the change. At the first phase, it says denial. People will deny that there is a change or there will be a change, and they deny that why the change is needed. For example, people may say, we have always done the things this way, and why do we need to bring a new change, right? So sometimes we say, don't change a winning team, meaning that we are doing well, okay, we are making profit, we are making our goals, we are reaching our goals, we are reaching all the objectives. So why you want to bring a change, right? So this is what we call it as a denial phase. People react to this as a denial phase. And the phase 2 is defense. That is, reality intrudes and people realize that they must react and they must defend it. That why we want to change. For example, people may say, that's fine, but it won't work in my area. The change is good. They feel that yes, the change is there, but they want to defend it, to saying that why we need a change when we are doing well, okay, or why we need a change, or the change is good but it may not work in our organization or in my department or in my work, right? It may also say, for example, people may say the theory is fine but it won't work in practice. It won't work in practical. The change is not practical. The theory concept is okay, that we understand the whole idea of the change, but it may not work in practice. That is the second phase. The third phase is about discarding, moving from the defensive stance. It means just discard it, discard the change. Whether I like it or not, it is going to happen. So it better I must leave this, or I may jump to another work, or I may jump to another place. Right? So it's like discarding the change. Okay? Or we want to bring in our own things. Well, here it is, we are committed to it. Here how I see it. So this is all something like discarding phrases. Okay, this is the third phase, how people react to the change. Denial, defense, discard. The fourth phase is adaptation. That is experimenting and feeling the way forward. That is, we adapt that yes, the change is there, the change is good, and how we move forward with the change, right? So always being a change with us, we are still trying to get the new X to work, or a new device, or a new person, new specialist to work. We are getting most of the output from the new, so but still things we need to do more. Fine. I kept telling them that was what we needed, and finally they have done it. So these are all like adaptations of the change. And phase 5 is about internalization, when the change has become part of the organization. Is an internalization. For example, we are getting a group together to see whether we want to implement those software upgrades or not. That brings up a change or upgrades due to the change. So these are the 5 phases of the changes given in the coping cycle, which are denial, defense, discarding, adaptation, and internalization. Okay, and how this graph shows the people perspective or individual perspective of change in their self-esteem, like, and the performance, right? At the beginning, they may deny this huge number of people, right? And at the third, some people may discard these changes, but when it becomes a part of the eternal organization, people react to it and work along with the change. Okay. So change is all about moving from initial state to a new state. When we bring a change, it is all about from a initial state or from a state where we are in to a new state. Okay. So change is all about from the initial state to a new state. The initial state may be one in which we are more comfortable, right? And we don't want to move from those initial state. But with the change, we must move on. We must think of moving on. When the change happens, the comfort zone ceases, our comfort ceases, and a period of uncertainty begins, where we may question the necessity of change and what it will mean for us. So this period of instability in which our response to change may be dominated by negative thoughts and concerns. This period of change, when we see that we are moving from our comfort zone, in an initial zone at present we are okay, we are doing the work perfectly. When we want to bring a change, we are moving from our comfort zone. So our comfort is stop and we want to work on a change, something new is coming. So in that case, we may have some negative thoughts like how I will do this, I need to learn this, I must not participate in the change, I may lose my job. So a lot of concerns will come. Sometime afterwards, when the new state becomes accepted normality, we may feel again that comfort is returning back to us. That is after the change. After we accept the change and we are working with the change, we see that it is again coming back to the normality. We are again getting that comfort again with the new things. So in an organizational context, change can be unsettling. Leaders in an organization may understand that change is needed, but not necessarily what form it should take. So the metaphor of undertaking a journey, right? The metaphor of undertaking a journey is appropriate for both individual and organization facing the change. It is not the change is only for any particular person or employees in the organization. Both the organization and individuals working in the organization will face the change. Okay, so we take that as a journey metaphor, which is the direction we should take will depend upon the starting point where we are working currently, the purpose why we want to make the change, we call it as a mission statement, the idea where we want to be, what is our destination, the vision statement, the path or the options along the way that will help us to reach to our destination, right? So our starting point, why we are traveling, and where is our destination, and which path will take us to this destination is what is here the journey metaphor about the change. So in a change, leader and agents who are involved in introducing change need to be aware of fluctuations in self-confidence, self-esteem, and motivation that any of the individuals will go on. So who want to bring a change, he must understand what happens when the change is introduced inside an organization. So he must have an idea how people will react to that. Change is not easy. Change is not easy. People often deny the need for change, okay, and they don't want to go out of their comfort zone. Even change is beneficial. An individual initially engage with change, early efforts can soon falter, and we all know from many abundant New Year resolutions, like new resolutions comes inside the inside a country or a government brings in resolutions, and sometimes it is abundant. These resolutions are to bring the changes, right? So change is not easy. People may deny these changes. Sometimes the changes are beneficial, but may abandon as the time passes. Okay. On the other hand, change can create a sense of liberation and achievement when people realize that with the change they are making some contributions, they are making differences. Then they feel that they have achieved something. They feel it gives a feeling of achievement that people have achieved something. So an increase in self-esteem is accompanied by an improvement in effectiveness, performance, and enthusiasm. Right? So change, when we create a change, we achieve the change, we feel more excited. When how do people feel about the change? For example, people may feel like, will I lose my job? Will I be sidelined? Which means I may be ignored in the work, and I have to work with the new people, right? I have to develop new skills. I have to move to new location. Okay, and sometimes I have to do things that I do disagree with those things or those work, right? Because of the change. So the change, how the people think of it or perceive it, okay, people have these negative thoughts in their mind with the change. So for employees, change can present a period of doubt, uncertainty, okay, and someone can feel like, okay, I am just like a threatened to that if I don't adapt a change, I may lose my job, for example. Okay. So employees may feel helpless, okay, because they feel that the change is something going to happen, and it will happen, and we are just like we cannot do anything. Right. So a new change initiative may well be seen as a management craze, that management want to do something and they want to bring a new change. The challenge for any organization is to resolve these potential conflicts and mobilize its workforce to reach the destinations and achieve the organization's strategic visions. Okay. So the organization must resolve all these perceptions, all the negative thoughts, all the negative perceptions of the employees, and they encourage the employees to work with the change and to achieve the new ideas and the new change. From a personal and a career perspective, you need to be able to understand and contribute to the implementation of change process. You also need to be able to recognize and use the opportunities for personal and career development during the time of change. So with the change, if you are in an organization that's bring a change, you need to understand and contribute in implementing this change. This you will get a new skills, new ideas, you may be promoted, you will be more excited to work in the organization. Your work will be valued. Okay. So you will be given a value inside the organization. From a personal perspective, you can develop your career. Now that is all about how do we feel about the change, how we have to react about the change from a organizational point of view as well as from a individual point of view. The next topic here is different types of changes. We will see here different types of changes and its importance. Fine. So the first type of change is development to transformational changes. Now, what is developmental change? Developmental change is a change that is in a day-to-day process. For example, in a supermarket, what is a day-to-day process? In a supermarket, the day-to-day process is taking the orders, or let's say, for example, in a restaurant, what is the day-to-day process? Is it taking orders and serving the customers? Is a day-to-day process, right? So now, if you want to make a small change in a this in a daily routine, that is a developmental process that you want to develop something which has been daily done. Okay, so it's very small. Few people are involved. For example, how you take the orders and how you serve the customer, right? So there is a one. There are can be more than one way. So what we are doing currently, we may change to something new. That is our goal here. So that is a developmental change. Fine. So for example, orders are taken for new customers, employee join or leave, production schedule and process are modified. These day-to-day occurrences do not generally create significant difficulties for organizations or the people involved in implementing them. So they are dealt within a routine manner. Significant change include which is incremental in nature. It is termed as developmental change because it is usually planned to correct and enhance some existing aspect of organization. These developmental change is to enhance and to improve the day-to-day work routine. For example, when processing is significantly upgrade to meet required quality and safety standards. Also, the introduction of specific skills or new skills or more general upskilling inside an organization. So these are all developmental change. However, the most significant change become necessary. This is when the established way of doing things become unsatisfactory or inadequate and major change is required to establish new framework in our lives or work. This is a transformational change. Here comes the transformational change when we want to bring a major change in our daily routine, in our daily process, right? So we want to go, for example, let's say that we had a physical supermarket and the daily routine is how we serve the customer, how the customer takes the products or the goods from us. Now from this physical shop, we want to go to online shop. So this is a transformational change from a physical shop to an online shop is a transformational change where we want to make sure that our business will go up and the way that we are doing currently with a physical shop is not satisfactory. People are not coming to the physical shops. They are doing almost everything online. In that case, we have to make a big change in our business. We have to bring something online. We have to bring the devices. We have to bring a software for that and so on, an application for it and so on. That is a transformational change. Fine. So the transformational change is a more fundamental form of change and one that cannot be handled with a day-to-day procedure as an organization. In this type of change, the organization makes fundamental change in the way it carries out its business under the influence of external or internal pressures. So transformational change is a fundamental change, right? That will uh, that brings a change to the organization work or to the new change that a new things brought up inside the organization. So in conclusion, change is a continuum and a particular episode can fall anywhere between extreme of development and transformational change. The unique opportunities and the potential disruption, uncertainty, and risk can also vary considerably for any organization or for any individual. So two types of changes here we saw. that is developmental change, what is the change in a daily routine, and a transformational change, that is a fundamental change inside an organization. The next type of change is a closed, contained, or an open change. Closed, contained, or an open change. So here closed change is where there is a certainty about what happened, why it happened, and what needed to be done. It is more clear that why we want to make a change. That is what a closed change is. We understand that there is a change and why the change is there and what we have to do for this change. That is a closed change. Okay. Right. What about the contained change? The contained change where there is a reasonable confidence about what happened. We understand that something happened and why it happened and what need to be done. Right. So that is called a contained change. And finally, the open-ended change is where there is a disagreement about what happened and why it happened and what needed to be done. So inside any organization, like why the change is coming for a reason. So what happened? The reason the people may agree to those reasons, like yes, this happened, this is why there is a change. Some people say no, no, this is not the reason why the change is. You are bringing a simple change or simply you are bringing some change, nothing such happened. Fine. So that is an open-ended change. So from the description of closed, contained, and open-ended change, you should see the approach to planning. It's depending upon the type of change that is involved. For closed change, where there is a general acceptance and agreement, the planning and management of necessary change can be defined in some details and to an agreed schedule. That is for a closed change. For a change is open-ended and undertaken in a context that is complex and uncertain, rigorous and detailed planning is likely to be difficult and less effective. Right? So here the change situation and the possible problem and solution may not be predictable from the start for an open-ended change. For a closed change, we can predict what will happen. We can put a schedule because we know why it happened, what happened, and what we have to do. So you can put a schedule, we can plan it, and you can do the change or you can implement the change. For an open-ended changes, people have disagreement in it. Okay, we need to study it. We need to research about it, whether it is a true change or not. Then only we can publish it or we can think of doing it. So we cannot have a perfect plan for it or a schedule for the open-ended change. So this graph shows like the degree of agreement and uncertainty in different types of change. For a open change, it is very simple. For a closed change, it is simple. Okay, and there will be high degree of agreement and certainty. And for an open-ended change, it is a complex to chaotic, where we have a low disagreement and low degree of certainty. Fine. So other than that, it falls between a closed and open change. Okay, the third form of change is continuing waves of change. For some organization, the pressure to change is now so relentless that it is desirable to develop process and cultures to deal with the changes. For some organizations, the changes is continuous. It is not like the change has been done in this year and the next change will be done in the upcoming after 5 years. No. For some organization, the changes are continuous in the sense they are repeatedly facing the changes back to back. So in that case, the organization will develop its own change, its own team for handling the changes. Just a second, please. So the organization in continuous changes, the organization has its own make process and the culture for the changes. Any change program should aim at making an organization more receptive to future change and to the current change proposal. So managers, leaders, or agents of change need to acquire the necessary skills to simultaneously cope with ongoing operational matters while at the same time contributing effectively to the change program. So the organization will have a change program and the changes are continuous inside the organization. That is continuing waves of change. So an organization capable of conducting its own routine business efficiently while also introducing beneficial change is likely to thrive in difficult conditions. An organization that can survive in a continual improvement mode of operation is coherent and flexible, enabling it to predict and respond to new challenges. These organizations realize the most of their staff and encourage them to think out of the box, think innovatively, contribute to the ideas of the organization. This is what a learning organization is. Okay, so it is a continuous process learning about the change, implementing the changes. So continuing waves of changes, some organizations face this continuous waves of changes. That is, the changes are frequent in an organization. So the organization develop its own culture and a process for handling the changes. Every time they implement a change, they are ready and more ready for the upcoming changes. Okay, this is the third type of change. The fourth type here is readiness to change, that is a culture, power, and politics. All organization must develop a culture, okay? They must have a cultural identity, which may become an asset or liability during periods of change. People within an organization are both influenced by and contribute to the organization establishment. Okay, so culture in organization is something expressed by the way things are done inside the organization. So culture is what? The way we do the things around here, that is inside the organization. Culture is a result of shared norms, values, and perceptions. And it can be seen in the dress code, the ritual the people engage in, the stories that they tell, and how they relate to work colleagues as well as others outside the organization, such as customer and suppliers, how they deal with them. So this is all about the culture inside an organization. So culture also supports the changes and the culture also contributes to the changes inside any organization. Organization culture normally develops and gradually and partly as a result of management design, partly as a result of sector in which the organization operates. Okay, and partly as a result of employees' experiences and how the demographic mix and the workforce. While culture can help to create a sense of belonging and shared destiny, it can prove to be an obstacle to change, especially where existing culture is a risk or if the change strategy is pursued by some to challenge prevailing group values. So must have a culture as like an universal thing inside an organization. Finally, the drivers of change, from where the changes comes. So fundamentals reasons for the changes is fast and frequent technological change. Changes in the technology is very fast and frequent, and because of the changes in the technology, people want to do the things more perfectly and more quickly. So that brings up a change inside any organization. So the fundamental reasons include fast and frequent technological changes, globalization of production of goods and services, markets and competitions. Globalization of markets and the competitions as well as the production of goods and services. This also brings a change. This is also a driver of change that brings a change. Also, cheaper communication and distribution supported by evolutions in an information communication technology, government deregulation, privatization, changing in the society and demography. Fine, these are all the drivers of the change. Also, competitive pressure is an important driver of change. Where we are in the market, we're doing some business, we are not alone doing this business. So there can be different uh, competitors doing this business. So this competitive environment also brings in our mind to bring in a change so that we can be ahead in the market. Finally, the impact of change on employees. Transformational change require a great level of preparedness and awareness of fundamentals of change. If we are talking about transformational change, what is the impact of the change on employees? Is that the transformational change require understanding and awareness of the fundamental change. Employees need to develop the skills and competencies to enable them to lead and thrive during periods of the changes. Any changes that are made, employees need to be ready in terms of the skills and competencies they need to learn to go with the changes. Okay, so that's about the impact on employees about the changes. So here with we are with the different types of changes. Finally, which is the changing organizational context. We talk about here the organizational context, how the changes will affect a different context inside any organization. So the organizational context can be visualized as a series of concentric circles, each depicting a level of influences. So this influence gradually diminish as we move away from the center. The circle explained as zone 1, zone 2, zone 3 and zone 4. Zone 1 in any organization is in you and your immediate environment. That is the inner circle, you and in your immediate environment. That is where you are working inside your department. You and your working department is the zone 1. In any organization, you can visualize that you and your department is in zone 1 and zone 2 is other departments. A wider organizational context, resources, structures and cultures at the zone 2. And zone 3 are those who are dealing with your organization, the locals like competitors, customers, clients, suppliers, local influencers. These are all at the zone 3. And zone 4 is in international, we call it as in far external, national, international, social, technological, economic, environmental, political, legal, and ethical influences. These are all comes under the zone 4. So we see that the here all these, okay, working all this like how the organization is placed and how an individual inside an organization is placed and how they are affected by a change. Fine. So at the you and you immediate at the zone 1, how the changes may be affected, at the zone 2 how the changes may be applied and affected, at the zone 3 and at the zone 4 how the changes may be affected. So this is at the organizational context we see the influence of the change at the organizational context, and we explain these influences in 4 zones. Zone 1, the inner zone, at you and your immediate environment. Zone 2 is the other departments inside the organization, such as management structure, human, physical, and financial resources. And zone 3 is about customers, suppliers, and the local factors. And zone 4 is about social trends and the national and international economic climate, national government policy, and global marketplace, technological innovation, and environmental and ethical factors. So these are the zone 4. Fine. So this is